The raid resulted in the arrest of 4 terrorist combatants, and then weapons and ammunition were also recovered.
Nigerian military assures the nation of a frontal assault on outlaws as more kidnapped victims regain freedom.
Illegal activities in this critical mining sector, solid mineral sector, must stop henceforth.
Our wealth beneath the surface is not for plunder. Minister warns illegal miners.
There has been a reduction in prices of grains compared to last few weeks.
Grains of hope, more food, more joy as prices come down in some grain markets in the country. Hello and welcome to NTA Network News. I am Jummai Yusuf. Joining me from Lagos is Hingino John Adams. Remember, you can watch this news live on our website www.nta.ng/live and also on our other social media handles displayed on your screen. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reaffirmed his support for a robust public-private sector partnership to grow the economy, saying that his administration's sustained, bold and coordinated reforms are anchored on a strong adherence to accountability and transparency. Speaking at an audience with members of the board and management of the Nigeria Economic Support Group at the State House, the President reiterated his unequivocal resolve to fully implement the 8 priority reform areas under the Renewed Hope agenda within the next 3 years. The President, who emphasized that Nigeria is blessed with rich human and natural resources in addition to opportunities which can quickly be leveraged into new prosperity, called for the urgent exploitation of Nigeria's diversity for collective gain, with an eye on new think tanks in the agricultural sector and the establishment of a commodity exchange.
Looking backwards is retrogressive for any reformer. Looking forward can give you on the lips that will propel you in right direction. We must kill our advantages in the economic path. We must kill it. The world is dynamic, the environment is dynamic as well. We are confronted with climate change and many other challenges. But here, somewhere, in the face of all this storm, in the eye of the storm, there is a quiet and peaceful corner for those who can search, patient, and be determined. We will find ours. Thank you very much.
The chairman of NESG, Dr. Olani Yusuf, welcomed the economic reforms announced by the Tinubu administration, specifically with respect to fuel subsidy removal, foreign exchange rate harmonization, food security, and palliatives to sub-national governments.
We know there's a lot to be done in terms of tackling inflation, but we are aware of the various steps around food security and palliatives that the government is embarking on across the various states. We will ask and encourage that there will be a lot of transparency and accountability in the distribution of those palliatives so that they really can get them to the poor and needy Nigerians who barely need the assistance.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu is asking religious leaders to intensify national reorientation of the Nigerian people towards strengthening the bond of unity in the country. The president said this as he received the members of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, led by Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar, who is the President General of the Council. State House correspondent Musbao and Wahab reports.
Yes, the expectation is high. And there's tough time right now.
President Bola Tinubu consistently acknowledges the socio-economic realities in the country. Yes, he has a rational understanding of the situation, but then a frequent reminder may be necessary. Members of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs take up that responsibility as they came calling. President Tinubu has taken some decisions along the way, with some hard to bear for Nigerians. That notwithstanding, the Council appreciates the genuine interest of the administration to turn things around. Beyond this, the unity of the Nigerian people, they say, is also important to them.
To make sure that it continues to rule with transparency, with honesty, with equity, to the benefit of all members of this great country of ours.
It is a seeming convergence of interests as President Tinubu expresses his aim to bequeath a more united Nigeria. There is equally a presidential assignment for the Council.
Mr. President has also asked them to be in the forefront of the national reorientation, which is one of the pillars of his administration. He has asked them to go back to areas of conflict. You recall that the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence, was also in Niger to engage with the military junta there. He has asked them to continue to go back in the spirit of his belief that only dialogue, only engagement can end crises across the world.
The Council is the latest group to leverage on the open door policy promised by the current administration. From the State House, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
In other news, the House of Representatives has summoned the acting governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to appear before it to give an account of the value and status of the national housing funds domiciled in the Apex Bank from 2011 till date. At the resumed hearing of the ad hoc committee investigating the utilization of the funds, members emphasized that the Apex Court is empowered by law to make remittance to the fund at source from commercial banks.
The Central Bank of Nigeria shall, within 2 months of making the collection under subsection 1 of this Act, pay the money to the bank for investment in the funds. This is what we expect from CBN.
They should tell us how much they have collected or deducted on this investment, and if they have not, they should also go back and look at what they ought to have deducted and they have not deducted.
We need to put it straight so that there will be a result at the end of the day where people will have a good accommodation from their very long time savings.
National Assembly correspondent Mitere Ikpen reports that the House Committee's decision to summon the Central Bank Governor followed testimonies by representatives of several commercial banks that appeared before the committee, indicating remittances to the National Housing Fund running into billions of naira. The federal government is reassessing the state of affairs in the north with a view to coming up with robust platforms to address the challenges in the region. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this when he received coalition of Northern State Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, led by its president Dalhatu Abubakar. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Are the leading industrialists in the north coming to show their concern on the state of the region? Vice President Kashim Shettima commended the leadership of the delegation for its commitment to development of the north through various industrial projects that can effectively lead to all-round development through partnership with the federal government. He said any society that seeks to achieve economic development must promote peace and stability. The Vice President praised President Bola Tinubu as a visionary and committed democrat for his passion to seek and achieve development through addressing the challenges of insecurity in the north, especially in the northwest region, through the Placo initiative aimed at addressing the challenges of armed banditry, kidnapping and the situation in the northwest. Leader of the delegation, Dalhatu Abubakar, expressed the readiness of the organization to seek partnership with the federal government towards the revitalization of the economy in the north. In another development, Vice President Shettima has reiterated the value of the traditional institution in the country. He highlighted this while receiving a delegation led by the chairman of the Nasarawa State Council of Chiefs, Justice C. Dibage. Vice President Shettima expressed gratitude to the traditional rulers, the government and people of the state for their love and support to President Tinubu during the last electioneering campaign.
Our loyalty, our support to this administration is 100%. 100% with this government. And we are there in support of all their aspirations, all the good things that they have laid out for this country. We are there to support.
From the State House, Abraman Jibrila, NTA News.
Talking security, 109 kidnapped victims have been rescued within the last 2 weeks across the country by troops of the Nigerian Armed Forces. The Director Defense Media Operations Major General Edward Buba announced this at the bi-weekly news conference on ongoing armed forces operations in different parts of the country. Details of the operations indicate that 147 terrorists were arrested, while 39 eliminated in combat by troops of Operation Hadinkai in the northeast.
Likewise, on the 25th, troops following a tip-off conducted a raid at Mafa local government area, Yobe State. The raid resulted in the arrest of 4 terrorist combatants, and then weapons and ammunition were also recovered. The air component of Operation Hadinkai, following active terrorist activities at Wulade, conducted airstrikes, degrading the terrorists that were hibernating at the location.
Similarly, troops of Operation Delta Save deactivated 71 dug-out pits and apprehended 5 vehicles used by the economic saboteurs. Several arms were also recovered from the operations across the country within the last 2 weeks. The Minister of Police Affairs has assured the Nigerian police force that the federal government is committed to providing adequate funding for police operations, procure equipment that meets specific needs and prioritize the welfare of officers and men. He gave the assurance when the leadership of the Nigeria Police Force briefed the 2 ministers in Abuja. Francis Form tells us more.
This is the first time the leadership of the Nigeria Police Force is meeting the Ministers of Police Affairs to discuss and exchange perspectives on reforming the force in accordance with global best practices and policing to ensure public safety.
I have briefed the ministers on the general operations of the Nigerian Police Force. We have let them know our challenges. We have also presented an overview of the dynamics of crime and the general internal security situations in the country.
To tackle the diverse range of criminal activities, they need to establish a specialized unit that address all forms of crimes, highly needed, says the police minister.
Effective intelligence gathering mechanisms are critical for proactive crime prevention. We must establish robust systems to gather and analyze intelligence, enabling us to stay one step ahead of criminals.
You've highlighted a few challenges. We look forward to looking through them to see how we can address the issues of recruitment, the challenges here and there that are stopping us from becoming a world-class policing force.
They directed the force management team to address the issue of response time to distress calls by Nigerians. Francis from NTA News.
Let's bring you up to speed with other news as former Nigerian President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan has been appointed as Goodwill Ambassador of the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, AATF. His appointment was unveiled in Abuja as he stressed the need for African leaders to adopt modern technology in food production with a view to eradicating hunger and poverty on the continent. Details with Musa Aliu.
Population growth and drop in yield due to environmental factors are responsible for food insecurity in Africa. Reports indicate that average yields of cereal per hectare on the continent dropped by 59%. Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security says Nigeria is not exempted from the challenges.
We are having flooding, which is washing off a lot of farms. We are also having with it challenges of pests and diseases. Quilla birds are all over. So these are issues that we believe is negatively impacting on our capacity to deliver on our food security.
Africa needs to set targets on agricultural technologies for optimal agricultural performance. Africa cannot develop outside technology. Success of Africa's free trade agreement will depend on how African countries are able to leverage production.
ATF is committed to driving positive change in Africa's agricultural sector through its innovative approaches.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan in 2015 signed into law the Biosafety Bill, which paved way for the adoption of biotechnology and genetic engineering in food production and processing in Nigeria. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Network News. We'll be right back after this break. Thanks for rejoining us. Now, many believe that no matter how difficult things are, when there is food to eat, life is bearable. While in Gombe State, residents are breathing a sigh of relief following the drop in prices of food items occasioned by the commencement of harvest of some agricultural produce. Talatu Laman, who visited one of the largest grain markets in the country, reports that the development has generated excitement.
The Gombe Grains Market, popularly known as Tudunhazi, is situated in the heart of the state capital, where customers from across the country come for business of assorted grains, particularly maize, beans, millets, and guinea corn. Since the removal of fuel subsidy, prices of food have been unstable. Thanks to the arrival of new grains from farms, prices of food are beginning to come down. A bag of maize which sold for 60,000 naira is now 55,000 naira, while a bag of beans which sold between 60 and 65,000 naira now stands at 58 and 60,000 naira. A bag of millet which sold at 50,000 naira now sells as low as 40,000 naira.
There has been a slight reduction in prices of grains compared to last few weeks.
Experts say factors responsible for the changes in prices of food items include cost of transportation, speculations among sellers, and the law of demand and supply.
Supply is not commensurate with the demand. Population increase is not as high as increase in food production. And that's why the prices of these goods and services will keep on increasing until there is a serious change in our agricultural value chain.
Prices of these grains are expected to come down as farmers continue to harvest their farm produce. In Gombe, I am Talatu Lamon, NTA News.
Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Peter Edu, has unveiled plans to establish the Presidential Humanitarian and Poverty Alleviation Trust Fund as part of measures aimed at lifting over 133 million Nigerians out of poverty and other humanitarian crises. The minister disclosed this during an interactive session with the country director of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation during a visit to the minister in Abuja. Ruth Awele reports.
The burden of lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty is a task before the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, who sees this as a job that must be done.
It's a whole lot.
With more than 60 million Nigerians affected by humanitarian crisis, the minister expressed federal government's readiness and concern to the delegation of the country director of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who have come on a familiarization visit. Plans to establish the Presidential Humanitarian and Poverty Alleviation Trust Fund as part of measures aimed at lifting Nigerians out of poverty was also unveiled.
We need to be able to go full-blown into a robust resource mobilization move that can help us pull together funding into one basket that will be used to address both the humanitarian crisis and the poverty alleviation programs and projects without necessarily going through the bureaucratic bottlenecks of government.
For the delegation, no better time to seal the bond and strengthen already existing partnership with Nigeria, especially in specific areas and renew prospective agendas.
We as a foundation at the country level, our role is really to enable the foundation other team to be able to support the government of Nigeria.
In a related development, the ministry has come up with a plan to lift 15 million households out of poverty under its updated social safety net project tagged Conditional Cash Transfer. The minister shared this initiative when she paid a visit to the World Bank Country Director, Mr. Shobham Chowdhury. She expressed gratitude to the World Bank for the continued support extended to Nigeria. The World Bank Country Director pledged support to deliver on the new mandate of the ministry with the provision of technical support. On the flip side, the ambassador of Netherlands to Nigeria, Waiter Plumb, also paid a solidarity visit to the minister to explore possibilities, especially in upscaling humanitarian interventions for Nigeria. The target is to meet the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals for Nigeria through a robust plan of action. In Abuja, Ruth Aguwele, NTA News.
And for update on the coup in Gabon, African Union suspends Gabon from the continental body following the ouster of President Ali Bongo. Meanwhile, the new junta leader, General Brice Oligui Nguema, is to be sworn in as transitional president on Monday, 4th September 2023. Uche Ugochukwu tells us more.
Spokesman for the Committee for the Transition and Restoration of Institutions, Olish Mamfobi, said on State TV on Thursday that Olugi will face in transitional institutions. No details were given on the duration of the transitional institutions. He instructed all general secretaries, ministerial officers, directors generals and officials of state services to ensure in the immediate future the effective resumption of work and continuity of the functioning of all public services. The army chiefs reassured all donors, development partners as well as state creditors that all provisions will be taken to guarantee respect for Gabon's commitments both internally and externally. The spokesman added that Gabon will respect all its commitments at home and abroad. In the meantime, Gabon's main opposition has urged military leaders who have overthrown President Ali Bongo to conclude the vote count from last weekend's elections and acknowledge their candidate had won the disputed poll. The 2023 coalition also said it was inviting the security forces to take part in discussions in order to work out the situation within a patriotic and responsible framework. Alliance spokesman Mike Joktan told reporters that the army officers were the first witnesses of main opposition candidate Albert Ondo Osa's clear victory. The coup announcement early Wednesday came just moments after the National Election Overseer declared Bongo had won a third term with 64.27% of the vote and Ondo Osa won 30.77%. Meanwhile, African Union Peace and Security has suspended Gabon following the military takeover. In its Twitter handle, the body condemned the military takeover which ousted Ali Bongo. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed his deepest condolences to the government and people of South Africa following a tragic fire incident at a multi-story building in Johannesburg Central Business District. A statement by the Special Advisor, Media and Publicity to the President, Ajuri Ngalale, the President said, in this moment of tragedy, Nigeria's thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families affected by this devastating fire incident. The extent of this loss is truly devastating, and during this challenging time, Nigeria stands in unity with South Africa while praying for a speedy recovery for the wounded. The President reiterated the strong bond shared between Nigeria and South Africa. President Tinubu expressed hope that the collective strength of the South African people, relevant government agencies, and the unwavering spirit of Africa will positively impact the healing and rehabilitation of all those affected. Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, has assured Nigerians that the National Library will be completed in 21 months as the nation's depository. This was when he led the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Sununu, and top officials of the Federal Ministry of Education on an inspection of the uncompleted project at Central Area, Abuja. The contract, awarded in 2006 for 8.9 billion with an initial completion period of 4 years with subsequent re-award of the contract, but remained uncompleted for close to 20 years. Federal Executive Council of the immediate past administration approved that the Tertiary Education Fund, TED Fund, should take over the completion of the project. Since then, nothing has happened at the edifice.
Uncompleted for this long, for close to 20 years now. We know the importance of a library, not to talk about a national library. We have a president who does not tolerate sloppiness and uncompleted projects anywhere. He is determined to deliver on what will bring progress and development of this country. The president will be here to commission this very important national monument.
The minister assured that the cost of the project awarded years back would be reviewed to meet current dynamics and enhance its speedy completion. The National Librarian, Professor Chinwe Anunobi, cited the issues of bureaucracy in the state of the project. Now, Minister of Solid Minerals Development Dele Alake has issued a warning to all those involved in illegal mining, emphasizing that his ministry is working assiduously to put a stop to the menace. This was at the graduation ceremony of young Nigerians trained by the ministry on gemstone and jewelry production. Ekene Ndulu reports.
Nigeria is abundantly blessed with varieties of gemstones and other mineral resources. But apparently, the value of these stones increases only when they are cut and polished. To bridge this gap, the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, through the Mineral Sector Support for Economic Diversification Project, trained 30 young Nigerians on jewelry making and designs. The solid minerals sector can be the next big earner for Nigeria if properly harnessed.
That is the message of the president. Illegal activities in this critical mining sector, solid mineral sector, must stop henceforth. And it's not just exhortation, it's not just sermonization. We are putting in place very concrete and enduring steps, and strategies to combat this menace because it's really adversely affecting the economic fortunes of Nigeria.
Since commencement of the program in 2021, 70 persons have been graduated with the aim of changing the face of gems and jewelries in Nigeria. As they receive their certificates and starter packs, these young ones, selected from different states in the country, are charged not just to add value to gemstones, but also to train others in their localities. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
Kaduna State Government says it plans to embark on providing special train mass transit service to its citizens. In achieving this objective, a delegation from the state visited the Minister of Transportation, Senator Saidu Ahmed Al-Khali, to seek partnership with the ministry. The minister expressed delight over the decision of Governor Uba Sani to respond to the clarion call of Mr. President to state governors to introduce palliative measures to cushion the effects of petroleum subsidy withdrawal. The minister also expressed his interest being a part of every level of discussions in order to actualize the project. The leader of the delegation and Kaduna State Commissioner for Education, Professor Muhammad Sani Bello, appealed to the minister to support the initiative, which is geared towards bettering the lot of the people, bearing in mind that the transportation sector is the bedrock of the nation's economy. The MD, Nigeria Railway, informed the minister that some state governments have started to approach the management indicating interest to commence the program as a way of cushioning the effects of subsidy removal and the high rise in transportation cost, citing example of states like Plateau and now Kaduna State. It's time to join Hingino in our Lagos Network Center for more on NTA Network News. Hello, Hingino. Jummai. Lagos State Government has set September 4th as the date for the commencement of full commercial operations of the Blue Line train service from Marina to Mile 2. Regulators of the Blue Line, Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, disclosed this in Lagos. Musa Toliat has details.
Since the first phase of the 13-kilometer Blue Line rail system was inaugurated in January this year by former President Muhammadu Buhari, Lagos residents have waited patiently for the day the train service will commence full commercial operation. Managing Director of LAMATA, Abimbola Akinjo, hinted that one of the challenges that hindered the Blue Line takeoff has been deployment of substantial electricity since the train will operate on energized track.
We are not utilizing the electric power to power the trains that we're starting with. That system, that electric system will come on in 4 weeks. So the message that do not cross the track is pertinent.
The event presented a platform to educate residents on operational modalities.
I said we're starting with 12 trips. But when we get to full ramp up, we will do, even with just our 3 rolling stock sets, we will be doing 76 trips a day. At Marina and Mile 2, the trains will be stopping for no more than 5 minutes. When the train gets to any station, it will stop for no more than 90 seconds.
Although only the Cowrie card grants access into the train, passengers will however enjoy 50% discount in line with the transport palliative recently announced by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Control centers have been established at the train stations to check unauthorized access and possible vandalism. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
Providing quality basic necessities for children to develop mentally and physically require the concerted efforts of all. This was re-echoed at an interactive session organized by the United Nations Children's Emergency Funds, UNICEF, in partnership with some members of the entertainment industry in Lagos. Lynn Leneke reports that the initiative will give the entertainers the opportunity to use their various platforms to promote the sustainable development goals for the benefit of the Nigerian child.
In 2003, Nigeria adopted the Child's Rights Act to domesticate the Convention on the Rights of the Child to have quality health care, education, water sanitation, and nutrition, among others. Even with this, data from UNICEF shows that the number of vulnerable children in Nigeria is 17.5 million. Concerned about this number, this partnership between UNICEF and some members of the entertainment and creative industry, like Kate Henshaw and Cobams, seeks to address the challenges inhibiting the act by fast-tracking accessibility to the Sustainable Development Goals for children with special interest in the formative stage.
It is not just government, it is not just families or communities. We will have differentiated approaches to reach each one of them so that everybody understands what is their role and accountabilities for children in Nigeria.
The initiative is also aimed at providing better opportunities for vulnerable children.
This is one of the ways in which we can be able to sensitize the society and make parents understand what their responsibility is as regards their wards.
Our job is to make sure that for every stage we provide that, by collaborating with people who can help support our message.
I want to use that platform and my gifts to positively affect the minds of young people who are so heavily influenced by the content we create.
These stakeholders are optimistic that introducing preventive and response interventions for children will end poverty and inequality among these segments of the country's population. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
Time for some messages, but before then, do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Well, welcome back. Vice President Kashim Shettima has urged friends and political allies to refrain from placing birthday wishes on newspaper pages or utilizing paid channels to convey greetings in endeavors to commemorate his birthday. In a press statement personally signed by the Vice President, who will turn 57 on September 2nd, states that the decision was made in the spirit of the nation's commitment to responsible resource management and responsive governance. He urged anyone willing to contribute to the betterment of the society to do so by donating to charity organizations in need in the collective pursuit of humane and functional world. Now, National Chairman of the party, Abdullah Umar Ganduje, says the party's unity and supremacy is non-negotiable. His chairman was speaking when he received APC group of professionals and APC anti-Z support group at the party secretariat. Political correspondent Abubakar Akwanga reports.
The APC professional group, made up of eminent Nigerians and led by former governor of Bauchi State, Isa Yuguda, says their mission was to declare total support for his tenure and offer themselves for service.
The membership has been really very, very encouraging. Every day, by the day, more people are being registered. For us to succeed in various development projects, in various programs, we need professionals.
The ambience of the next visit was that of solidarity and love for the national chairman as Anti-Z support group takes the floor to express support for Ganduje's emergence as APC national chairman and solicits reward for its founder, Zainab Ibrahim.
Reward and encourage our principal, Anti-Z, that will encourage her to do more for the benefit of all Nigerians.
And we assure you, we have taken note of your request. Ministerial appointments, we heard you. We assure you, whatever we hear, Mr. President will also hear.
The chairman appreciates the visit and assured all party members of a more focused and results-oriented leadership that will engender prosperity and service delivery. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Time to join Benny Adams for the latest in the world of business. Benny, what's trending?
Thank you, Jumaya, so much in the world of business. Start by telling you that as calls for transparency in the extractive industry gets louder, the Pan-African Economic and Financial Security Initiative is calling on the present administration to review measures taken towards the protection of the nation's pipelines, which they say cost the country more than $1.3 billion. Yet oil sabotage persists as the nation's oil production and sales of crude continue to decrease.
We need every cent and dollar, every naira and kobo to ensure that these refineries work. And these refineries will not work as long as we allow this economic sabotage to continue. We call on Mr. President, who has consistently shown himself to be a man of action, to take decisive action to ensure that these pipeline surveillance contracts are given to capable hands across board to ensure that the collective patrimony of Nigeria and Nigerians would survive this phase that we're in.
And now to Gabon. The Gabon's military coup sparked the steepest daily drop in its dollar bonds on Wednesday since the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, and came just weeks after the country carried out continental Africa's first debt for nature swap. The country's bond due for repayment in 2025 fell for most by as much as 14 cents before recovering to the end of down almost 8.5 cents on the dollar at 85 cents. That was still the biggest fall since the initial COVID-19 market rout of March 2020. Its 2 to 2031 maturities both finished down around 7 cents at 74 cents and a quarter below their original face value. Though Gabon issued one bond as part of its debt for nature swap this month, rising global interest rates and concerns about debt levels have meant most African countries have been largely locked out of international debt markets for well over a year. And now to our stocks. Investors book 1.4 trillion gain in the month of August. The market, which started the month with capitalization at 64,337.52 basis points, closed the review month at 66,548.99 points, the highest in 15 months. At the end of trading today, a total of 620.9 million shares in 7,972 deals, corresponding to a market value of 7.180 billion, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 3% decline in volume, 8% decline in turnover, and a 21% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 36.4 trillion naira. Sterling Bank recorded the highest volume of traded shares, followed by Transcorp Nigeria and Fidelity Bank. Well, that is Business News. Network News continues with Jumai.
Always nice doing business with you, Benny.
Thank you.
Now, in a move towards enhancing social protection strategies in Nigeria, the federal government has inaugurated the Committee of Practice, COP, for the implementation of the National Social Protection Policy. The Community of Practice will serve as a forum for policy dialogue, enabling the government and its partners to exchange ideas, best practices, and innovative strategies. Nneka Oko reports.
The National Social Protection Policy, NSPP, was developed to provide a mix of policies and programs designed to reduce poverty and strengthen the livelihood of Nigerians. It is structured around the 4 pillars of social assistance, social care, social insurance, and labor market interventions.
The policy also ensures citizens have access to basic social services and infrastructure, as well as provide decent employment and sustainable livelihood.
Although ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as state and non-state actors, have been implementing programs around the 4 pillars of NSPP in order to alleviate poverty, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, Nebolisa Anako, observed that there are still critical gaps in linkages and synergy across programs and projects with no formal interaction platforms in the MDAs.
Consequently, the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning has set out to establish a committee of practice to discuss progress, share knowledge and skills, enhance information exchange, as well as track the status of implementation of the policy.
With the participation and collaboration of various stakeholders, the federal government aims to create an inclusive social protection system that will lift the most vulnerable citizens out of the corridor of uncertainty. In Abuja, Nneka Oko, NTA News.
We'll take another break. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Reports just reaching us says a truck conveying flour have crashed at Nyanya, Abuja, causing serious traffic gridlock. Subsequent reports will bring you in our subsequent bulletin. The family of Olua Sesan Ipinaye has announced the death and burial arrangements of late Mrs. Eunice Omosikiola Ipinaye, who died on 19th August 2023, aged 49. In a statement by the family, burial arrangements for late Mrs. Ipinaye include wake Friday 1st September 2023 at her residence Barking Uza along Kershi Expressway, Abuja. Saturday 2nd September 2023, body leaves Garki Hospital mortuary for 7 Guards Battalion Cemetery, Lungi Barracks, Maitama, Abuja at 8 a.m. At 10 a.m., interment follows at the gravesite 7 Guards Battalion Cemetery, Lungi Barracks, Maitama, Abuja. She was until her death. Until her death, the late Mrs. Eunice Omosikiola Ipinaye was Manager Programs Department, NTA. And that's the news for now. Thanks for watching. I am Jumai Yusuf.